27 years ago on January 31, 1996, 13-year-old Rachel Mellon Skemp vanished after spending the day home alone with her stepfather. She has not been seen or heard from since. Rachel Marie Mellon Skemp was born on October 13, 1982 to parents Amy and Jeff Skemp in Melrose Park, Illinois. At the age of 3, her parents divorced. Her mother remained living in Bolingbrook, Illinois while her father relocated to Dallas, Texas. In 1985, Amy began a relationship with a man by the name of Vincent Mellon. Vince moved in with Amy and Rachel, and together the couple had 2 children, Jason in 1988 and Ashley in 1990. They all lived on 612 Melissa Drive in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Rachel was a bubbly and bright young girl, always smiling in spite of her unstable home life. In 1990, Vince pushed Amy down a flight of stairs during an argument, prompting her to file a restraining order with the police. She later dropped the order and reconciled. The police were periodically called to their home for domestic violence, and there was one instance where Vince angrily threatened both Amy and Rachel. In the spring of 1995, Rachel ran away from home, citing that she was afraid that she would be blamed for something that her siblings did. She slept outside of one of her friend's house and the next day called her step-grandparents to take her home. In the summer of 1995, Rachel went to spend 1 month with her father Jeff in Dallas, Texas. While there, she begged her uncle to help her move to Texas, believing that she would be better off in the custody of her father than with her mother. Rachel returned to Bolingbrook later that summer. The last day that Jeff heard from his daughter Rachel was on December 25, 1995. By the fall of 1995, Rachel was a cheerful and smart 7th grader at B.J. Ward Middle School, where she'd been an honor student. She excelled in reading and writing and was popular at school. Described as being silly, joyful and with an amazing sense of humor. Rachel had a best friend, Carrie, whom she remained close to until the time of her disappearance. She was passionate about recycling and the environment and had taken up an interest in music, dancing and singing. She babysat children in the neighborhood and aspired to one day become a teacher. On January 30, 1996, a day before her disappearance, Rachel was seen crying by her locker, which was extremely uncharacteristic of the usual upbeat and happy teen. She told her friends that she had been feeling unwell and had a problem which she would take care of herself. The following day, January 31, 1996, was a day of strange circumstances. 13-year-old Rachel decided to stay home from school that day due to a sore throat. Accompanying her at home was her unemployed stepfather, Vince, and their German Shepherd, Duke. January 31 was a particularly frigid day, -20°F and snowy with gusty high winds. At 10:45 a.m., Rachel, wearing a pink sweatshirt with yellow pants and red slippers, phoned her paternal grandmother Lucy Skemp to thank her for the Christmas gifts she'd sent. Lucy stated that the phone call lasted about 5 minutes, and towards the end of the phone call Rachel got very quiet. Her grandmother asked, "Is he there?" referring to Vincent, and Rachel replied, "Yes," before stating she had to go. According to Vince, after the phone call ended, he and Rachel played Nintendo for roughly an hour or so before she returned to her bedroom to take a nap. He states that the last time he saw her she was in her bed, wrapped in a blue blanket. At 2:30 p.m. with Rachel still napping, Vince claims that he stepped out to take the family dog Duke out for a walk. He left the front door unlocked. During the 30-minute walk, Vince claims that Duke slipped out of his collar and began chasing a rabbit in a nearby field. Vince then left the dog, believing that he'd find his way back to the family residence, and returned home at roughly 3:00 p.m. He claims that he did not check on Rachel when he returned home. At 3:15 p.m., Rachel's younger half-sibling Ashley returned home from school, noticing that Rachel was not home. A real estate agent who saw Duke running up and down the street recognized that the dog had belonged to the Mellon Skemp residence and returned the dog between 4:30 p.m. and 5:00 p.m. It was not until 5:00 p.m. when Amy and her son Jason got home that the Bolingbrook police were called. When the police arrived hours later and searched Rachel's room, they were stunned to discover that her coat, shoes, wallet, purse and Walkman were all still in her room during such a brutally cold snowstorm. Her blue blanket that she'd slept in was missing, as well as the 2 pillows she had on her bed. Police checked the door and found no signs of forced entry. They questioned Vince about the multiple scratches and cuts that were on his arm, to which he replied that he was doing car work earlier during the day. An extensive search of the area was done on ground, air and water using geothermal images and drones, but still no sign of Rachel turned up. Her bank account had been untouched and the airports were checked to make sure that she hadn't ran away to Dallas to be with her father. Still, no sign of Rachel. A notable item that was uncovered during the police raid was Rachel's diary, which contained a haunting entry from August of 1995 in which she described how her stepfather Vince came into her room and began kissing her and touching her inappropriately in order to warn her about how predators behave, and what characteristics she should look out for to be safe. They also uncovered an out-of-print book which deals with father-daughter incest as well as a steak knife stashed underneath Rachel's pillow. At 6:00 p.m., Rachel's 13-year-old best friend Carrie along with 4 other friends trekked around the neighborhood in the cold, wet snow calling out for Rachel. They spent an hour outside with their flashlights checking the local park and going up and down the streets until it had become completely dark outside. Carrie states that at that point they had all huddled together and began crying, realizing that there was no sign of their friend. Jeff Skemp, Rachel's father, had received a telephone call from his father stating that Rachel had gone missing from her home. Jeff quit his job in Dallas and moved to Bolingbrook, Illinois, hoping to aid in the search of his daughter. When he went to the Mellon Skemp residence, he went into Rachel's room and laid down on her bed in disbelief of what had happened to his daughter. He put on her Walkman and the song, "Hand in My Pocket," by Alanis Morissette had begun playing. He smiled as he remembered that Rachel stated during her visit to his house last year that "Hand in My Pocket" was her favorite song and that she was now listening to alternative rock instead of her usual pop music. Jeff cites that while at the Mellon Skemp residence, he confronted Vince about what happened to Rachel, to which Vince replied, "Someone must have snatched her while I was out walking the dog." Jeff has kept the same phone number since 1996 in hopes that one day Rachel will call him. The case had gone ice cold, with no sign of Rachel and no leads or tips in the case. In January of 2000, 4 years after Rachel's disappearance, a grand jury obtained a warrant to receive Vince's DNA samples. On January 29, the cops picked up Vince from his home and held him for 9 hours at the Bolingbrook police station. During that time, Vince pled the Fifth Amendment when questioned over what happened on the day Rachel disappeared. He then surrendered samples of his blood, saliva and hair as part of a first-degree murder investigation. He also took at least one lie detector test, which he failed. Amy was also questioned by police down at the Bolingbrook police station, but maintained her theory that her husband was innocent and that she believed Rachel was still alive. She passed a lie detector test, and since then both Amy and her husband Vince have refused to cooperate with law enforcement regarding Rachel's disappearance. Amy and Vince also refuse to hold any memorials in memory of Rachel and do not make any efforts to bring awareness to her case. The grand jury investigation ended in 2000 without any indictments handed down. Amy states that she got rid of all of Rachel's belongings and donated it to a Goodwill in 2000. That same year, the Mellon family relocated to Joliet, Illinois. Amy, Vince and their 2 children moved to Tennessee sometime in the mid-2000s, and Vince has since then had numerous run-ins with the law, including domestic violence charges for fighting his son as well as drunk driving charges. In May of 2002, the city of Bolingbrook planted a tree and plaque at a park right across the street from Rachel's house in her memory. Bolingbrook PD has stated that they believe without a doubt that Vince killed Rachel, but they cannot prosecute him due to a lack of evidence. Rachel's father Jeff and her best friend Carrie continue to bring awareness to Rachel's strange disappearance. In 2021, Rachel's friend, Carrie, wrote, "25 years. I can't wrap my head around it. How is this possible? I feel like I say this every single year, but 25? January 31st will be that long since you just vanished. This date will forever be the day that changed me. It will forever be the day that I have had to learn to live without answers. Live with questions and doubt. Live life raising my own kids without you. I pray so hard constantly for answers. For closure. For the doubt to go away. And for you to be brought justice. Rachel, you are forever in my heart. I can still hear your voice when I see pictures. I can still remember your smile that lit up a room. I can still remember how smart and beautiful you were inside and out. Please take a moment and think about if your best friend just vanished. Or your own daughter, sister or anyone. And to have no answers. No one should have to live with this. Someone knows something. Please keep Rachel in your hearts and prayers as we approach yet another anniversary. 25 years. Rachel, I will never give up. Love. Carrie. The police still consider this an active case, and are open to any new leads. If you have any information in regards to the January 31, 1996 disappearance of Rachel Mellon Skemp, please call the Bolingbrook Police Department at 630-226-0600. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more videos.